Greetings and welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of UC Weekly News. Wow, do we have quite a round robin here this week? Well, I got a lot of people, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. These are all of my moderators and co-panelists. Once again, this year, I'm very honored to be the track chair for the Unified Communication track for the IMCCA at Commercial Integrator Expo, which is a show that's taking place in conjunction with CEDIA and in Denver, September 4th through the 6th. And we got a great lineup of presenters and a great lineup of people. So let me call on you one at a time to introduce yourselves, and we'll go around and we'll talk about what we're going to be talking about. So Amelia, you're on my screen first. Go ahead and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Yeah, hi, my name is Amelia Vrabel. I am with QSIS. I am the Alliances Go-to-Market Manager. So I work with many of our Alliances partners, and I'm really excited to have a show here in Colorado, which is where I live. And so it's so many local for me, and I'll be presenting on making hybrid work. And I spoke about that a little bit last year, and certainly, this continues to be an evolving topic, so there'll be more to talk about even since last year at this year's session. But thanks for having me. It's like I said, great to have a show here in lovely Colorado. September is a great time to be here anyway. And yeah, it's going to be a great time.
I haven't checked to see who's at Red Rocks while we're there. That would be an interesting side journey going on. Michelle, you're next on my screen. Give it a shot. Tell everybody who you are, what you do.
Hi, my name's Michelle Lorette. Nice to meet you. I currently am a director of education for IMCCA, where we create custom education content that our National Trade Association fails to develop on their own, because we want to help the integrator. It's all about the integrator. And this is my second year going to CEDIA/Commercial Integrator Expo. Amelia's 100% right. You don't even need snow tires for those of us who don't know what a snow chain is or anything like that. It's a great month to be there. Last year was really good. I think a lot of people get confused. They think they're two separate expos, but it's all one big building. But it's a much more boutique one-on-one experience where you can get a lot of more answers because there's not 30,000 people. So I highly recommend it. Denver's gorgeous. Garden of the Gods down in Colorado Springs. So yeah, you can make a whole week of it, quite frankly. Make it a family vacation, y'all.
I can't get my wife to come with me. I've tried. She says, no, she's starting a new job, so she's still on her probation. Chris Netto. Chris, you pop up everywhere nowadays, and you pop up less and less every time we see you. So congratulations for that. Tell everybody who you are and what you do if people are under a rock and they've never heard of it.
My name's Chris Netto. I'm the Market Development Manager at Starin. We are a distributor of AV products, UC, broadcast, audio, you name it. We pretty much will distribute it. Though we do not have a massive line card, we do have a very, very high quality line card if you guys are interested. My job is to go around and take a look at new markets and see what we can do as a business developer. And obviously going to a show that has the residential side mixed in, the residential integrators are new to the commercial side of the business. So my job is to help educate what residential integrators can be doing on the commercial side of the business and some of the stuff that the commercial integrators are there taking a look at if they're dipping their toe into the residential side. I don't play in the residential market, but there is no reason why work from home and residential are not talking, because it kind of has home in the title, right? So that's my job. And obviously part of my role is to help with brand awareness of the brands that we carry, and obviously to help spread the word or the good things about UC. So that's what I do. You need anything else, David? I mean, that's pretty much.
No, you got. That's a good start. We'll keep going.
All right. I'm good.
Next person on my screen is Kevin Keeler. Kevin, say hi to everybody. This is be your second time coming. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Well, yes. Thank you, David. This is, as you say, this is my second time that I'll be attending the Commercial Integrator Expo and CEDIA conference. And for me, this was really eye-opening because, quite frankly, I am the co-founder of Enable UC. We focus on helping organizations and vendors get the most out of unified communications, collaboration, and artificial intelligence. But really, the focus for me has always been on the software side. And what I am loving about, the Commercial Integrator Expo and CEDIA is really understanding to a greater degree, like the devices and the expertise in the rooms. And especially as we move into this hybrid work where you need to make it worthwhile to go to the office, the people that I'm learning from, and it's the other people that are, part of this, it's like all of that expertise is new to me. And so bringing that software plus hardware side is fantastic. So I am going to be talking about choosing a collaboration platform, because that's key. But of course, it's key with the software plus the hardware. And also because everybody's talking about artificial intelligence, I'm going to be talking about that. But hopefully I'm going to be cutting through, I don't know, can I say bullshit? A lot of the bullshit, because everybody's talking about that. I don't know, you can edit that out if need be. But really kind of being pragmatic about, can AI, improve and drive some business outcomes? Because that's what it needs to do. And so super excited. I think a lot of people in the UC world, if you're in the Microsoft Teams ecosystem, Zoom, WebEx, Ring Central, if you haven't kind of been to, like a show like CEDIA plus Commercial Integrator Expo, expand your horizons like I've done and join us, please.
A lot of different places, a lot of different ways, nuances of seeing the same thing from different perspectives. And that's one of the things you gain from being in person at one of these events. And a couple of the moderators that are going to be here, a couple of panelists that are going to be part of our program couldn't join us today. Wes Killaney, a few of the others be there. But last but not least on our call today, David Maldo from Let's Do Video. David, say hi to everybody.
Hey everyone, I'm David Maldo from Let's Do Video, and this is also my second year at the show. And I love this show because I've always been really into remote work, hybrid work, even before the pandemic, when everyone thought I was crazy and it wasn't possible. No, you have to be at the office. I was always about remote work, and I never understood why I needed one pair of home earbuds and another pair of office earbuds. So the blending of commercial and residential, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's a great show. I can't wait to go back. And what I do at Let's Do Video, I cover business communications, UCAV. I've been producing a flood of content lately. I've been it's exciting. I've been talking about I want to make more videos, and now I'm making more videos. And you can see them all at letsdovideo.com or on my YouTube channel. Thanks for having me here, David.
So thank you all. And let's just spend a little bit of time. First of all, here underneath, hopefully, if I edit this correctly, you can see underneath my screen, there's where you go to register for the show, and registration is open and it's active, and we're going to be there, and it's certainly going to be worthwhile for your time to come and listen to us and see all the things that are around there. We may even have some giveaways. I was pulling some things out of my storage drawer. I pulled out a Cisco Yumi and a Cisco Flip, and so I found the Poly Apollo 11 commemorative socks, and a lot of stuff I may be giving away. So anyway, that's another reason you might want to come. We'll have some decent prizes there. But let's talk about what some of the content is. So Kevin, let me start with you. You have two very important sessions. Probably the first one that's opening up for the UC track that we're doing anyway is this concept of AI. And it's been an interesting journey watching generative AI talk about. First of all, I've quoted you 1,000 times on various interviews and webcasts around the hiding in plain sight that had been around for a while, which is a great term. So I'm always going to give you credit for it when I say it. But generative AI, I use it constantly as a tool, and it's amazing how much more productive I'm able to be using it as a tool. But there are a lot of people out there that are using it as part of their business process, and it's terrible for that, because every fifth or sixth time when I use it, really wrong stuff comes up, frighteningly wrong stuff, and I just don't think it's ready for prime time yet. So what are the nuances of you explaining AI to this not necessarily familiar with the crowd?
Yeah, no, I think, David, you bring up some fantastic points. Obviously, artificial intelligence or any technology, generative AI, all of it has to advance, positively measurable business outcomes, which for the most part means driving revenue or reducing costs. And so how does generative AI, as excited as people are to say, rewrite my email in a pirate voice or make it a poem, it's like, that's neither reducing costs nor generating revenue. So I really believe that 2024 is the year where there's lots of experimentation. I think you need to do the experimentation. I think, David, you brought up, many important kind of points that you have to watch out for. But, from an AI perspective, you don't want to be left behind. But at the same time, I think there's examples, numerous examples of where you apply a particular tool ineffectively, and then it comes back to bite you. So, the session, I'm going to try to talk about the pragmatics, some statistics, some, okay, you don't, how do you go and implement this effectively? Just based on, experience and organizations and vendors that we've worked with. So I think, it's an important session, and especially, as you tie it into the AI that's been hiding in plain sight, a lot of the room-based video, the wonderful audio advancements, that's, the background blurring, the replacing the background, all of that is driven by AI. So that's incredibly positive. So how do we as a collectively leverage the positive and avoid some of the negative outcomes that you mentioned? That's what my session is going to focus on.
Okay. And I've kind of sprung on you, Kevin, and you, David, and you didn't know about this until today, I guess, or maybe Friday when I sent the email, that I'm going to ask the two of you to co-moderate a session that we've not done there before, which is the idea of smart. Smart homes, smart offices. You have a lot of people that are going to be at the show looking at, well, how do I use AI in the home, and how do I make these things be automatic, and how do I ask my assistant, whether it's the Google or the Alexa or whatever the inversion of that will be at the time. How do I make my smart home? But then how do I make my smart collaboration and my smart office? Is that using those voice first tools in the office? Is that more of the AI hiding in plain sight? What technologies have been, how do we blend this idea of smart home and smart office? So you got a couple of months to work on this, guys. I mean, I think it's definitely going to be something that'll be worth your while to look into. And I don't know, I'm going to let you define what we mean by smart there, because smart might be as simple as taking a bar that's flat and turning it sideways and letting it sit between two monitors, which is something that one of the D10 is doing in the industry right now. So I'm gonna let you guys kind of play with that one, but I think it'll be a nice thing for you to sink your teeth into.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, just okay, at first impression, and this might change over the next few months. I might decide this isn't what we're going to talk about at all, but there's so many ways to automate, and there's so many tools for automation that we use in a home, a desktop worker situation that could be integrated with the home. I always talk about my favorite little device here. I'm going to see if I can show it without tangling everything up. Elgato, not a sponsor, Elgato Stream Deck. This is a tool that became popular with streamers because of the automation. When I press a button, with one button, it closes Zoom, closes Teams, closes my work apps so I don't have pop-ups, opens up OBS, opens up Chrome to my YouTube channel to make sure I'm, and moves everything to the right windows and gets everything ready. And then the next button is Start Stream. And that kind of automation is smart. And I can set it up with a voice command. I have a bot that I use with my streaming that I could say, I say all sorts of, start recording, whatever, and it'll start recording. All of those things I associate with smart things at the office, that kind of automation, but streamers have been using them at home at their streamer battle stations forever. So integrating that with the rest of the home office, with the lighting, with the air conditioning, of course that makes sense. Why do I have one set of controls for switching my scenes in my stream and another set of controls for it's getting a little too hot in here? So that's just first impression. I'm excited. Why reason I'm excited is because there's a lot of, I just had one right in front of me. There's a lot of cool, fun technology we're going to be able to talk about.
Yeah, and hopefully what we try and do with the CEDIA and Commercial Integrator Expo being co-located is to try and get people from opposite sides to kind of look at it. When I was in college, a century ago, I was majoring in TV and film and theater, and none of those very well-equipped departments ever talked to each other. They were all on different floors in different buildings. Nobody ever dragged the cameras over to the theater. Nobody ever dragged the lights over to the TV studio. So I was very pleased to be able to kind of do that. So anyway, that'll be a wonderful thing for you two guys to work on. Michelle, let me call on you just for a second, because you got a couple things. You did a really interesting fireside chat last year, which kind of in that same vein, we were talking about blurring the lines between unified communication and digital signage and a lot of the other things that are happening. And you're going to be involved in that chat. And I've also got you, and I think everybody else on the panel here, other than maybe David, involved in the conversation around who are today's hybrid workers? What's going on with is it Gen Z, Gen X? Do we want to be in the office? Do we want to be at home? I mean, those are two really interesting conversations that you're going to be involved with.
Yeah, and I like well, first of all, really smart group. So I love having any conversation. And Lainey Materis is an OG, and she brings such a really comprehensive background that I always learn something every time I have a talk with her. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that's a good question. Interestingly enough, for those that don't know, David Maldo, he used to be an attorney, y'all. And then he grew his hair out, dyed it purple, and decided to be an AV analyst. Poof, just like that. So, but knowing how law firms operate, like they want to see everyone working. It's about billable hours, right? You've got to be here in the office. But yet he still was like, no, everybody doesn't need to be in the office. I mean, yes, we see how an ecosystem of a law firm works. And we unfortunately have the people at the hospital all showing up because we need them there, right? They can't phone that in. But the other ways, and definitely with the AI tie-in, for me, it's really exciting that something like beamforming microphone arrays, right, which came on the scene. How long has it been now? 7, 8 years, maybe 9. I'm dating myself. We've got video bars that have built-in beamforming mic arrays, and they've got AI that's doing the auto tracking and stuff that used to cost 30 grand. Now, hey, it's 2 grand and just slap it in your office. It is really interesting how it all ties together in terms of it's real varied. The younger generation, they are literally not as interested in water cooler and all the good parts about being at work, right? Having the ad hoc conversations, getting the inspiration. I would say 50% of the people probably need to be in the office 50% of the time. If anything, just for maybe a weekly check-in. But for example, I know Amelia worked for a company where their office was in Denver. She's in Sea Springs. It's an hour away. Really, do I need to drive there even once a week? I mean, is that best use of my time? So, it's not solved, but it's constantly evolving.
It's also around the communication. I mean, I grew up in a corporate world. I mean, I'm older than all of you.
Oh, so stone tablets and chisels. God,
not
that must have been so laborious.
But we were always told, don't write a memo if you can call someone. Don't call someone if you can go see someone, because the personal conversation is the most important thing. And I have a blog. I could give you another link down here to a blog that I wrote recently about how the hell do we reach out and touch someone nowadays, because it's too confusing. My upper 20s kids write text message novellas to me. And somebody told me over the weekend at a party that I was at that generation reads email now maybe once a week. They don't read. So how do we communicate? What's the right way to reach out to talk to someone?
David,
yeah.
For those of us that are Gen X and older, I just read an article, I don't remember if it was the Times or the Post or whatever, about how Gen Z and below gets very upset if you call them on a phone and it's not like scheduled. Like they find that highly offensive. But we all know how to use phones. We all had phones with cords in our kitchen that were like 10 feet long when they were double curled up, because it had to go from one end of the kitchen to the other. And we would answer phones and not even know who was calling. It was very exciting. But yeah, completely different communication outlook. And when I talk to my friends about this article, that they all have young adult or even young children, they're like, oh yeah. They're like, was this scheduled? Why are you calling? Why didn't you just send a text? It's like, because I needed to talk to you right now, and that's the most efficient way. So philosophically, there's a lot of that huge divide.
Yeah, a lot of that to explore. So that's definitely one of the topics we're going to talk about at a couple of the sessions. We also are going to go back, as you mentioned, Amelia, to talk about hybrid working. We were convinced 3 years ago and 4 years ago and even last year that hybrid working is the way to go. And we still have companies that are fighting against that right now. We still have, look at what happened at Dell. Dell said, unless you're going to be in the office most of the week, we're not going to put you up for promotion. You're going to be stagnant. And most people said, I don't care. that's my better life that way. So it's an interesting topic which you're going to refresh and go over with everybody, right?
Yeah, and I think like many of the topics that we have, it's nuanced, right? Like there isn't a this is how it needs to be done, this is how it needs to be done. We really need to continue to look at work as something we do, not a place we go. And I think we've all talked about that before. And we have to be more mindful and more aware about why are we going there. I don't mind driving to Denver. Obviously, I'm going to be driving to Denver to go to this convention, right? Is my trip to downtown Denver always the most fun? Absolutely not, because there can be a lot of traffic, and it's not an hour, even though it's like 60 miles, Michelle. It's definitely not an hour.
Sorry.
Unless I go at 5 o'clock in the morning. But this kind of shows like when there is value in getting a group of people together to do something, where it makes most sense for us all to be in person, we need to build the right environment around that, and we need to have the right space to go to. And hybrid work isn't just about let's get butts in seats, to sit in front of a computer and be on the same calls that we were going to be on at home. And it's about defining meeting equity, not just for the people in the room, but for the people not in the room. And how do we really get people, I don't think it's realistic to expect that everybody is going to have an equal experience, right? Because it's not an equal experience. Some people are in the room and some people are not. But it comes down to how can we make sure that everybody feels like they are engaged and they have a seat at the table, and they are contributing to the meeting, and they're not just sitting there because somebody asked them to be on a meeting that they can't participate in. They can't see who's there. They can't see who's speaking. They can't get any good information, and they can't add any value. That's not productive for anybody. It doesn't matter how many AI tools you have, right? So that's the kind of thing where, this becomes nuanced, just like Kevin and you mentioned with AI, that becomes nuanced as well. But there's a lot of interesting things to talk about. I've been a hybrid worker for 10 years. I mean, largely remote, but right, sometimes I have had and I appreciate having an office or a place to go. And sometimes it's just been going to see customers that are face-to-face and close by. But you have to learn how to make it work and make it work effectively for what you do and how you do it. And that's going to just be different for everyone. It's not a one size fits all.
And you touched a little bit on this idea of what we now call meeting equity, which is actually a session that David Maldo is going to cover on Thursday, which is this idea that what is meeting equity and how do we do it? And honestly, we got like 5 or 6 companies out there that are claiming that meeting equity is a camera in the middle of the table, which, okay, you've got a camera in the middle of the table and that's interesting and it's nice and it does some cool things. But you know what? If I'm in a meeting and I'm sitting at the table and somebody's looking at the front of the room, I'm not seeing their face. I'm seeing so that meeting equity's got to be more than a camera in the middle of the table. It may be cameras everywhere. It may be cameras from people's devices. I mean, David, have you put any thoughts around how you're going to get into that subject?
Well, that's kind of the fun thing, is that we don't know the answer. I didn't really set up, so this might be a little weird, but okay, you're a little too small, but people will get the idea. This is the issue. The issue is what's a better experience? Hi, I'm David Maldo, and I'd like to present my topic today, and I'm hoping you're actually going to find me compelling enough to spend money with me. Or, hi, I'm David Maldo. I'm the boss. I'm the big CEO. Oh, that actually worked pretty good. I'm gonna pin you, Michelle. You're the right size. There we go. Here we go. Always love hanging out with Michelle. So this is a real problem. We need a way. Sorry, green screen issue. We need a way to solve this so that the people who actually did drive to the office because they were threatened that they weren't going to get raises and promotions. Fine, I'll drive to the office. Oh, great. Now I have an inferior experience and no one's listening to me in the meeting. This is a real problem. This isn't like, look, we're looking to sell new cameras. This is a problem that has to be solved. And one of the things that's exciting about it is we don't know the answer. Craig Durr talks about, is it inside or out or outside in? The center of table. Okay, so the camera's facing every way. We got a camera on everyone's face. That solves a problem. But, you heard the tone David Danto used when he talked about center of table. We've been down that road before. We were a little frightened by that because we tried center of table and it didn't work. The people didn't like it, but there's a lot of smart companies making them now. So I'm giving it a chance. But then there's outside in. Cameras all along the walls. starting to sound expensive and complicated software to do it, but the software has AI now. It can do it easy. David, you did an interview or you broadcast an interview this with Neat, and they have a solution that does it within their cameras AI. And if you have dumb cameras, then Zoom does it within their AI, and Microsoft has a solution, and Crestron has. So they're figuring this out. But as far as what is the right answer, dun dun dun. I don't know. I'm going to find a way to talk about it between now and then. But it's exciting and it's new and it's fun. So it'll be a great session.
And I'm thinking that, and again, I could be wrong. It's your session. The cameras are good. The cameras are better than they were. Outside out, outside in, inside out. Those are all real. But is that really is sticking a camera on somebody's face how you achieve meeting equity? I think it's got to be more than that. I think it's got to be some way of balancing the sound and of sharing and of, I don't know. I just think it's more than just cameras. So
can we talk about chat? Because I do think the chat aspect is important. And having worked with a company that has 21:9 aspect ratio, 105 and now 92-inch displays, commercial displays, that's so the people in the room don't feel left out from everybody remote, having a keg party in the chat and laughing and cutting up and sharing good information. And them going, what's so funny? We're sitting in this room. What are we missing out on? Right.
I have a problem with building general purpose enterprise rooms that face the wall, because they were very expensive in 2006, 2007, 2008. And when 2 and 3 people wanted to go into the room and have a conversation with each other, they couldn't do it because they were all facing the wall. So then they turned their chairs like they were sitting and playing, slaps on the knees. And the room is not built for general purpose. So now we're going back to terms that I thought we were done with. We're going back to flat screens on the walls and curved tables and spatial audio. And we tried that. We spent millions and millions and millions of dollars doing that. And then the same company spent millions and millions and millions of dollars ripping it out because it didn't work. So I'm very this is where I came in on the movie. I don't know that I need to stick around for the second showing of it, but we'll see. Maybe the chat's going to make a big difference to everybody.
Hey, if at first you don't succeed, try again, David. Okay.
As long as keep buying our stuff, keep buying. As long as we're making money, we don't care. Less filling, less filling.
But here's the thing: the proof has to be in the pudding. The metrics, if it doesn't work, you have to try other things. So whether it's you can't just slap AI on cameras and say that it makes a difference. It has to actually make a difference. And one of the things that I loved, I probably read this 20 years ago. It's don't declare that it's artificial intelligence. Just say it's ABC. And then if it actually drives intelligence or drives outcomes, then declare it a success. And I think today we've seen, whether it's, and that's meeting equity. Everybody, it's a motherhood statement, eat your vegetables, be healthy. It's of course, but meeting equity is great, but nobody knows if it actually means investing for the remote participants or for the in-room participants. Because Michelle, as you brought up, sometimes it's the in-room participants that are at a disadvantage. Although you talked about having a party in the chat. My chats have never been that exciting. But yes, sometimes being remote with multiple screens and the ability to Google something when Chris says something that I don't understand. If I'm remote, I can Google it.
Right.
And then pretend I'm smarter than I actually am, right? So when you're in the room, you got to kind of just nod, and then you don't really know what's happening. So I think, what I love about the sessions this group is going to present is a lot of it is grounded, and I'd say all of it is grounded in the pragmatic and the practical, because we've got a lot of experience working with the people we do. So, you can't just slap AI, as people have said.
And Kevin, I was just going to say too, and this is one thing, this is a technology show. We want to talk about technology, but the reality is you want to have a good meeting. You need to have some basic leadership things in place, having an agenda and keeping the meeting on task and things like that, the technology will never solve for everything, but they all can work they can all work together, right?
Excellent
To
point.
give that better outcome. And I think,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
measuring the
I think
outcome is key.
yeah, no, that's a great point, Amelia. I think because people can't figure out how to sell agendas or agenda creating, you know, they're going to probably sell the AI
We have an opportunity
multi-camera
here.
rooms, right?
Well,
So
speaking of agendas, our agenda, we have to go to Chris, who's been patient and sitting there. Chris is a bonus for anybody who hasn't heard him speak. You know, he pretty much, you know, just press the button and then walk away, and he goes for 5 or 6 hours. You've got some really interesting topics you're going to be covering, Chris. I hope we're going to get in the opportunity to hear you on the floor talk a little bit about social selling and selling yourself and what you've done in your career. But we're also going to be able to hear from you in this idea of how do you go from what we're doing right now to what we're doing right now? How do you go from this, I'm participating in collaboration in video, to now I'm a content producer. Now I'm going to be being AV on air. Now you've experienced this from so many different sides and been very successful at it. And you're going to share some of your tips, right?
Correct. First, I'd like to address what you all said, and that's, you know, I love technology and I love all the ideas and I love the big brain stuff you guys bring to the table. But the one constant is that it is always change. And in our industry, the one constant that that most likely will never change is the people, right? So one thing that has come very clear to me over the last 6 months of hearing that my AI is better than yours, or that my camera is sharper than yours, or my sound is better than yours. There's a couple things that have stood out. One, audio, I believe, has taken a front-running conversation piece now. I think that we've reached a point in the audio space where audio is more important than the video. And that's simply because everybody who has brought a product to the table, right, whether it's cameras, whether it's a solution, it's software-driven. Everybody's got the same solution with a different name on it, right?
Yep.
Here's my cousin Larry and my other cousin Larry and my other cousin Larry, and they're all cousin Larry, and they're all the same people. But the one thing that no matter what you do, whatever brand you buy, whatever camera you buy, until they start putting better glass, or they start working with stuff like interchangeable lenses and stuff that brings the video, the professional video, into the commercial space, it's always that weird good enough angle. And this is kind of part of the conversation. But one thing that we can do very well that has not changed in many, many years is audio. And the attention to audio on the end user side is what I'm now seeing as being the driving force, more so than the camera. Because everybody has the same, when you offer the same product, your Happy Meal is the same as everybody else's Happy Meal. It's chicken nuggets and fries. All you're going to get is chicken nugget and fries. And they are all the same. They don't taste different. Maybe the sauce is a little different, but everything is the same. So people are driving for one constant. And it seems to be that audio seems to be the peak where everybody is kind of like, give us better audio. That's now why you're starting to see more beamforming microphones. You're going to start seeing or hearing more about spatial audio. Do people want spatial audio? No, they just want better audio. The video goes down, something goes down, the audio's got to be clear, because if you can't hear, and then that's what happens.
Right.
And when that happens, the meeting's lost, right? And I was saying peas and carrots because I learned that if you ever, need to stand in the background of a video, just say peas and carrots and it makes it look like you're talking. So anyway, that is part of my conversation. The other thing I also want to do is, yes, social selling is part of the conversation I'm going to bring, David, but one of the things that we are very taboo, anti-talking about, which I'm going to raise, whether y'all like it or not, is that there's a lot of people that are within our industry that have been in our industry for many years that need help on how to promote themselves. And that is also part of not just how to sell to our end users and to our integrators, to our customers, but how to sell yourself. And one of the things that is a current trend that nobody wants to talk about in the AV world is the amount of layoffs and the amount of people that are sitting home as free agents right now.
Yeah.
So if I could touch on that subject, absolutely, folks, that is what I will do. If you come to my session and you let me know, that's where I will take it. I don't care what it says on the agenda, because I'm a rebel, Dottie. I don't play in coloring within the lines. I will go outside that, and we will talk about that and how to help, because that is the one thing that we are without us, or people within the industry and you find folks that are watching this, there is no industry, right? The technology does not sell itself. We do a good job of pushing that out, and we sell stuff to people that sometimes they don't know they need. And sometimes we're really good at telling people that this is a better option, and we can be heard, but we can sell better than the catalog sale or the online sale, then we have done our jobs, because that's why we're here, folks, because we like to call ourselves experts in a lot of different things, not just in the technology field. There's a lot of us that have different expertise across many fields. And in one of the things that we're very good at, and some of the moderators on this panel are exceptionally good at that, is that we play within other adjacent industries. And we have to kind of take what we learn from furniture industries, from the architects, from the interior designers who hate our technology. No matter how fake, they'll tell you that they love it. They hate it. We have ugly technology. A screen is not pretty. It's black when it's off. It clashes with their mauve walls. I mean, it's just, this is what we battle on a daily basis. So if I can help in somehow make this experience or my moderating panel a better one by bringing up all these different issues, David, throw your agenda out the window.
Well, we'll try and keep to some of the agenda because we respect people's time, but you do make
Absolutely.
a very, very important point, which is you should be coming to this show because the exhibitors are showing some cool technology that you should be aware of. And you should be coming to this show because there are sessions that we're all going to be hosting, as well as other people that are going to be providing sessions that provide real valuable content, things that you take away and you can use actionably in your life immediately when you go home, when you go back to work, when you do what you do. But I've been saying for, and I don't want to exaggerate here, 46 years in the industry, that you go to these shows to network, to grow the people that you know, to face to name, to hug, to shake hands, to meet people, and to build on the relationships. Because ultimately, even though we're in a technology industry, we're in a relationship industry. And you don't want to miss the opportunities. You have certainly the people in the Denver area, but definitely in adjacent areas and across the country. I'm flying there. Kevin, you're flying from Toronto. David, you're flying from Florida. I'm coming from New Jersey.
Yep.
So we're all going there because we know it's worthwhile to be together at an event like this. And you know what? There are larger shows that we were all at, a few different ones, larger ones over the course of the year. But you know what? That's an advantage. This is a smaller show. And another thing I haven't explained in detail to our moderators yet is if you go down to the IMCCA booth when we're not presenting, we're going to have a small experts booth. And if you'd like to have a one-on-one with Chris or with David or with Kevin while we're there, we're all going to take turns and be there for different hours. You know what? Ask us questions, network with us, talk to people about what do you think of this? What should I do here? Where do you think the direction of the industry is going? What do you think the right technology is? I didn't understand what you meant when you presented it the other day. Can you clarify it for us? So there's going to be a lot of great opportunities at this event.
One thing I love about networking is it's like having these random collisions, and you don't really know like who you might have that random collision with that is going to start some conversation. I mean, I look at everybody on this page, and I don't remember where I met all of you at any given time because it was probably some random group or some random event. And sometimes you really don't realize, like, oh, being able to put yourself in a place where you can have a large number of random collisions means that you could learn a lot of things. Everybody has something to teach, right? So you could learn all kinds of different things from all kinds of different people, maybe meet somebody who helps, if you are one of these free agents, and meet somebody who maybe knows somebody who knows somebody that leads you to your next role, or maybe helps you understand something that you're interested in or that you're good at. And that's what I love about these events, is just keeping an open mind and not knowing what you might learn or what you might go home with, which might be a very different thing than you came there even to learn, but even could be more valuable.
A lot of people have been using the played out term of return to office, and that's been a driving force of marketing and return to work and it is return to work. This is work, right? Your network.
Did we ever stop working? We worked through the whole pandemic, Jamie Dimon. I don't want
we did what we had to do, but this is our return, right? The return for us to be back in some sort of normalcy is to be back doing what we do and what we love. So our return to work is getting to these places where we can have these networking opportunities, because you're right, we do get stale. If we sat for another 2 years and just watched, Me Too products being delivered, one after the other, we would be bored. We need this type of atmosphere. We need shows. We need small booths that are going to spur imagination in things and creativity. This is what we are built on. This is not what we are intended to do, is just follow process and spreadsheets. So I will wax poetic all day about how our industry comes from the creative and works from science and blends creative. But yes, there are numbers and there are KPIs and there's ROIs and all those terms that get bogged down in the day-to-day. But one thing that you can do by appearing at a trade show is get back to basics, get back to talking to people, make yourself human, right? And part of that is go to these sessions, pick up something. There may be something, a little nugget that I learned years ago got me started on how I, should change from just being a technician and how do I move, in an industry. I wish there was somebody that would have sat me down and said, watch these small moms and pops companies, you're going to have a hard time elevating because Uncle Bob runs purchasing and, Aunt Lisa runs, the shipping department. How do you succeed in that? So trust me, folks, you got to get out back into the field, back out into the networking sessions, come to the sessions. At least my session, I'm going to teach you how to do that. And at the same time, if it ain't teaching you how to sell yourself, I can teach you how to sell your product using the wonderful world of digital.
All right, so let's get ready to wrap this conversation.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, don't be afraid you don't have something to offer, because I think that's one thing you always teach about in your sessions, Chris, is that, there's a lot of imposter syndrome going around out there. And even the people like you have mentioned yourself, Chris, that you've had it. And none of us can ever see that when we talk to you or when we learn from you. And so I think, recognizing that every single person out there probably has some level of imposter syndrome, but they just lean into what they like and what they're good at, and they do it anyway, and kind of figure out how to get past that, is just a huge thing to take back.
So there you have it. Use the excuse that you want to go see the technology. Absolutely visit every booth, soak in as much as you can, because there's going to be a lot of different organizations there, a lot of different manufacturers. Check out what you'll see on the commercial side and the residential side and see if there's any applicable kind of cross pollination happening there.
And it totally is.
And there is. Absolutely there is.
Yeah.
And enjoy. Come back to a show and enjoy. For folks that may have missed the other West Coast show a couple weeks ago, this is another one kind of on the West. Well, for me, it's West because I'm in New Jersey and that's what we do. Anything outside of New Jersey is West. I made the mistake of saying somebody was Midwest and they were like, no, we are so not Midwest. I need to check my geography.
You're Central Jersey. The mythical Central Jersey.
I am from mythical Central Jersey. You're right. I'm on the pork roll Taylor ham division line. So it's
exactly. All right. So let's get ready to wrap this up because we do have a time limit that we have to stay within. Again, here is the link to register. We want you to come to the show. We absolutely want you to be there. I'm going to go around one more time and ask each of you for one sentence. Now, if you didn't take English at a recent time, that's a subject and a predicate and a period. There's nothing after the period. One sentence. Tell us the one sentence why this is an important show to you or why people should show up at the show. So think about that for a minute because nobody knows who I'm going to call on first. And I'm going to start with Chris because you're never at a loss for words. What's the one sentence why people should go to the show?
Because it's in Colorado.
Okay, that works.
You don't have to go far.
David, what about you?
I agree that sometimes we do need to leave the house and be with people in person. And as much as I love staying at home, there's never free donuts at home. And sometimes there's free donuts at these things.
Okay, it was a run-on sentence, but still it was a sentence. So you're good. Kevin, I'm going back around the other way. Well, what's your one sentence?
Last year, I noticed that on both sides of the house, the software side and the hardware side, there was misconceptions. And so attending the show can help you avoid those misconceptions and be smarter and more effective.
Kevin is there for myth busting.
Very good.
I'm a myth buster. I've been watching that, Chris. So there you go.
Excellent.
There you go.
Michelle, what's your sentence?
People, places, and AV matter. So show up, y'all. It's worth it.
Short and sweet. Amelia, yours?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the opportunity to learn and not have it be such a huge crowd where you can't have those conversations, but be big enough that, like I said, you can have some random collisions. And David, if you do like donuts, the very famous donuts you can get on the top of Pikes Peak, but you have to get up there and you take the train, but it is a challenge to make a donut at 14,000 feet. So that is kind of a touristy thing to do here if you are into donuts. So.
Ooh, I'm in.
I mean, I can't
14,000
even make
foot
bread
donut.
at 7,000 feet. So making donuts at 14,000 feet is yeah.
But
So-
Amelia, you can go run up there for everybody, get some for everybody, and bring it down, right?
No, you'll have to take the
Run.
train.
Oh, okay. All right. So I guess my one sentence, which I didn't really realize until we started having the conversation here, is my start in the industry was as an intern at AT&T Corporate Television, 195 Broadway, in September of 1978. So when you come see me in September of this year, that will be my 46th year anniversary working in this industry of media and collaboration and broadcasting and everything else. So come celebrate my 46th anniversary with me in Denver, September 4th, 5th, and 6th. We'll all be there at the convention center that still has the big bear in front of it, right? They haven't taken that one.
Big blue bear.
Yeah, and thank you to all of my guests this week. That's it for this week's UC Weekly News. Next week, my guest is going to be Patrick Kelly from Zoom, and a really interesting guy that's going to talk about some of the Zoom Microsoft interactions and maybe give us a little bit of a preview of his new cookbook that if you haven't read, you should. So join us for that show. Until then, thanks very much for watching. I'm David Danto. We'll see you next week.